Hello, I am Shay, aka Vdvppt, and I'm coming to speak on me being my authentic person, right? And I don't mean this by anybody else's rules or labels or anything like that, so you'll probably never hear me mention stuff about that. It's really mostly about my own self-identification and those things I do every day in order to sharpen my mind. Yes. So anyway, in terms of my authenticity, that's been something that I've been really on a train for that lately, and that has to do with my upbringing and those things that were expected of me in the fashion that was expected of me. And it's not really a bad thing. It's just, everyone is a human and everyone is their own individual. So by being that, even parents, they have to come to a conclusion of how they raise their children, and by them doing that, they give a framework based off what their parents taught them, and it continues on for every individual. So it's both nature and nurture. Of course, by nature I mean your genetic pass down of traits, which that would be a part of the animal body, but I'm probably not going to get too much into that because that's not what I'm speaking of. Actually, it's partially what I'm speaking of. So I guess I'll get into the spiritual, mental, and physical of my being more authentic. Alright, so essentially, I'll start with physical because that's what everybody can really relate to. I've been in this mode of accepting and experiencing those things that I am experiencing. So, from my own belief, I believe that those things that I experience are things that I either have made for myself to experience or that I want to experience. And so by being that, it causes it that it literally ends up rolling on into the mental part of what I was talking about being authentic. So in terms of those things that I'm confronted with every day and that other people are probably confronted with every day, it becomes a real psychological training session. And I probably mentioned training before, so again, if you haven't checked out any of my other videos, you definitely should. But continuing on, when it becomes about those physical things and how it mentally affects you, and not letting those physical emotions override your ability to observe the situation and move to your best of your abilities and move to those things that you want and those things that affect you the best. That's really the whole gist of it. Like, that's the whole gist of it. My current battles, I'm not going to mention, just because I need to get through them as I will. And when I do, I'm excited about the outcomes and the prizes that are there for me finally getting it accomplished. Further, I'll talk about the spiritual because of course it leads into the spiritual. The best way that I can correlate this is speaking about the grapevine, right, from the Bible. and specifically it speaks on the grapevine, which is the spiritual growth and ascent of a person. So essentially, how I explain it, and I've had actually a conversation with a priest. He was a priest recently, and it was funny because we came to a pretty good understanding, and even he mentioned it in like the next teaching that he did, because at that time I was going to this specific I'll call it a church. It was definitely a meeting more than a church, but yeah. And so the fact that he brought it up the next time was like, okay, cool. So the thoughts, even though most people try to categorize people in different levels when it comes to that, he was a very thoughtful individual who understood where I was coming from and the translation that I was trying to give to the people. Which I'll get into that another day. What is translation? Because that's my own definition of certain things that I'll get into eventually. So anyway, but when it comes to the grapevine, it is like every decision that you decide to make leads you in a certain direction. And if you think of certain types of thought, when you get past those body thoughts of being hungry, and you get past those mental thoughts of what people think of you, you start thinking of things that are spiritual. And when you start thinking of things that are spiritual, which is a very unique and individual experience, even though technically you can experience that with other people, when that happens, it's quite phenomenal. But it's fun, it's great, because then it's kind of like, okay, well, first of all, I know I'm not crazy, and second of all, I can actually relate to this person on a deeper level. So, but it leads to different scenarios up until, well, who knows where the end is. I don't know where the end is. I won't try to claim that I know where the end is, because I am definitely still learning every day. And aside from that, it's cool. It's cool. So, making those decisions based off of maybe your mental and or other, depending on who you are and what you do, scenario, whatever you do in order to move through your life, because there are people that use different fashions to move, that determines your outcomes of life. And it determines where you're moving. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in terms of this, because I feel like I'm losing my train of thought. I didn't write down the topic, and so by me not writing down the topic, first of all, it's off the mind, which I think is more authentic. There it is. And second, I feel like that is the mode that you take in order to become your more authentic self, because once you figure yourself out in a spiritual and mental and physical way, then you are not like any other person completely ever. Even the people that contributed to your creation, you are a composite of those that were before you and the spirit that you are. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say today. I don't know why it looks like I have star earrings, but I'm digging it. Peace.